Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me for Financial Literacy Month, we have Anthony Paul, Managing Director with the Hamilton Group at Concurrent, to discuss three key situations when it comes to assessing your post-COVID financial picture. AP, it's great to meet with you. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks, Jill. Appreciate you having me.
You got it. And the first step, of course, is evaluation. Explain to us what the three areas of focus are when it comes to taking a look at your financial plans.
Well, Jill, post-coronavirus, the global pandemic, it affected everyone. Many of us look at life differently. So, in any conversation about financial literacy, I think it has to start with evaluating your current situation. So what does that mean? Number one, what are your priorities? So is it health, which, as you know, health equals wealth. If you are not healthy, you can't go to work, you can't save, or you can't build wealth. Peace of mind. Is it debt reduction? Are you looking for a new job? Or are you going to relocate? So that leads to number two, financial responsibilities. What are your mortgage expenses? Do you have business expenses? Are there relocation expenses? So taking an assessment of that, childcare expenses, looking at that and seeing, okay, what do I need to be financially responsible for, which will lead to what's your future plan? So has that changed? Has your retirement outlook changed? Has your lifestyle needs changed? Have your travel plans changed? So if you had dreams on the table in terms of potentially getting a second home, is that now shifted? So all of that leads to you creating somewhat of a financial plan and learning how to create that financial plan, which in terms of financial literacy is the best way to get that literacy by evaluating your current situation.
And this can be overwhelming for many people, which is why we tend to procrastinate or ignore this entirely. What is the best way to get started?
Well, procrastination is a great word. We all go through it, whether it's losing weight, whether it's reading that book, whether it's learning Spanish, which I've been trying to learn for a while, is that you just put things off. So great ways to get started in terms of financial literacy and focusing on your situation. Pull your credit report. You just start there. We all need it based on different things in life. And even if you think you have good credit, you don't know what's on there. Things could have changed, so look at that. Secondarily, sit down and create your balance sheet, your financial statement, right? Assets minus liabilities equal net worth. And many people just don't know that basic thing about their own situation. I think it's huge because the goal is to keep liabilities low, increase assets, which builds your net worth. The third thing would be budget, right? The B word, the dirty word that people hate, that I find, right? It's also your personal income statement, right? How much do I make? How much do I spend? That leftover part, your income versus your expenses equals cash flow. And that's how you fund your goals and objectives financially. So from that point now, you also want to evaluate your current insurances. And I mean life, property and casualty, health, everything. As we can see, insurance has become an important conversation based on what happened in 2020. So maybe you have too much coverage, you don't have enough coverage in some areas. You want to look at that. And all that leads to my last starting point, emergency funds. So as a rule of thumb in planning, you want to have 6 to 12 months of emergency funds. So when you create that budget, you figure out what your expenses are. You now take that and multiply it by 6 to 12 months, whatever makes you more comfortable. So we saw, the name implies a meaning, emergency. You don't know when it's coming. 2020 was basically an emergency year. It wasn't an emergency month for many people. So that's a critical thing that I think you can definitely get started on now.
Yeah, those are all great pieces of advice. AP, can financial advisors help to simplify this a bit?
Absolutely, Jill. One of the things I like to talk to people about is creating a team. So the financial advisor is the quarterback. For those non-sports people, they're the leader of the team. But on that team, you should have a real estate agent, an insurance broker, an attorney, and definitely a CPA. And each one has a role, but the financial advisor can help you with the plan we just talked about, putting it together, making sure it's right, making sure it aligns with your goals and objectives, and then you bring in the other team members to help accomplish each of those goals and objectives from that plan. But the key to finding a good financial advisor is just find somebody that you can relate to, that can explains things to you, you feel comfortable with, because two big things that are really personal about your life, anybody's life, one of them is money. And so you want to make sure you feel comfortable talking to he or she about your financial situation.
And Anthony, take this home for us, because I can't stress the importance of financial education. This is why we cover these things on Trade Talks. It comes down to accountability at the end of the day. And if you do the research into your physical health, you also have to put the time into your financial health, because they're all intertwined at the end of the day.
Absolutely, Jill. I mean, couldn't have said it better, is that it's all about education. In today's world, when we're walking around with computers in our pocket, i.e. phones, there's lots of resources for just about anybody and everybody to figure out financial literacy, and looking at resources that can educate you on various topics. So shows like yours, right? The Nasdaq app is phenomenal. You know, you can download that. That keeps you with current events. So instead of looking at, the cat dancing on TikTok, start looking at financial shows that can teach you about things that you need to learn about in terms of managing your money, keeping your money, and looking at things that make sense. Randomly people will say to me, hey, I know I should be focused on my finances, but just not my thing. Well, as 2020 showed us, it's everybody's thing, because health and wealth go hand in hand, as you said, Joe.
And this is why we have guests like you on the show. Thanks so much for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thanks for having me.